It's genuinely exciting when technological advancements start to tackle really fundamental human needs. And, well, healthcare is certainly top of that list.
Definitely.
We're looking at a development today that feels like it has the potential to make a pretty significant impact.
It does. I mean, we're at a point where the sheer volume of medical knowledge is almost overwhelming.
Yeah, right.
So any tool that can help us navigate and utilize that information more effectively is worth a close look.
Absolutely. So let's get straight to it then. We're diving into a new platform called EON HealthView 360. Our goal in this deep dive is basically to understand what exactly this platform is designed to do, how it achieves those goals, and, well, why it could be a notable step forward. Improving how medical professionals gain insights and make crucial decisions.
Right.
We're focusing on the information released about the platform's announcement and its core capabilities, just so everyone knows our sources.
And it's important to understand, I think, that EON HealthView 360 isn't coming out of nowhere. No, it's developed by EON Reality. They're a company with a really strong track record in using extended reality, augmented and virtual reality.
Right, XR.
Exactly, XR to enhance knowledge transfer. They've done this across various industries and educational settings already.
Okay.
So their move into healthcare feels like a natural progression, really. It aligns with their underlying mission.
Which is, as I understand it, built around this learn, train, perform philosophy.
That's it.
Can you elaborate on how that framework applies to something as complex as healthcare, and how EON HealthView 360 fits into that picture?
Certainly. So EON Reality's core belief is that experiential learning is the most effective way to acquire and, crucially, retain knowledge.
Makes sense.
They've successfully applied AR and VR to create these immersive learning and training environments in all sorts of fields. Now, when we look at healthcare, this learn, train, perform mission takes on a particularly critical dimension. Well, think about it. For a doctor, learn could mean having instant access to the very latest research findings, right there and then.
Okay.
Train could involve practicing diagnostic skills in, say, realistic virtual scenarios without any risk to actual patients. And perform is ultimately about making the best possible decisions for patients, informed by comprehensive data analysis alongside their own expertise.
And we actually have a powerful statement from Dan Ledgerskar, he's EON Reality's chairman, that really underscores this.
Oh, yeah.
He says that EON HealthView 360 reflects their conviction that knowledge is a human right, and they're essentially leveraging their established expertise to address this in the vital area of healthcare.
Yeah, that sums it up nicely. And what's particularly compelling, I think, is that EON already possesses significant expertise in areas that are, fundamental to a platform like this.
Like what specifically?
Well, they have a strong understanding of how to make complex information accessible through technology. That's key. They've developed sophisticated, interactive visualization systems. Things that can transform abstract data into something you can readily understand.
Visualizing data is huge.
It really is. And they have experience with continuous learning platform systems that can adapt and evolve as new information emerges, which is obviously crucial in medicine.
Okay, so we have a sense of the foundation, the company's background. Now, let's really dig into EON HealthView 360 itself. How is EON Reality presenting this platform? What are its sort of key characteristics?
So they're introducing it as a revolutionary medical analysis platform, which is quite a statement.
It is.
And a central component is their proprietary vibe coder technology. But what's really key to grasp is how this platform embodies that learn, train, perform approach directly within the healthcare environment.
Okay, let's break that down. Start with learn. In a medical context, how does EON HealthView 360 facilitate learning?
All right, so for Learn, the platform is designed to give healthcare professionals access to this incredibly vast and constantly updated repository of medical knowledge. I mean, far exceeding what any single person could possibly keep up with.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it?
Exactly. It's engineered to continuously integrate the latest medical research findings, evolving clinical guidelines, making this information readily available precisely when it's most needed, at the point of patient care.
So, like having a dynamic, searchable medical library built right into your workflow.
That's a great way to put it, yes. A constantly updated library.
That sounds like it could really address that challenge of staying current in such a rapidly evolving field. Now, what about Train? How does the platform help with training and skill development?
Okay, for Train, the platform offers an interactive environment specifically for honing diagnostic skills.
How does that work?
It can reveal correlations and patterns within diverse sets of medical data. things like lab results, imaging, patient history. It allows physicians to develop a deeper understanding of these complex relationships by actively exploring the platform's analysis of intricate cases.
Ah, so it's not just reading about cases.
No, it's more like having access to a virtual library of complex cases where you can really explore the underlying data, see how different factors interact, maybe even tweak parameters to see the effects.
So it's more than just reviewing static case studies. It's an active learning environment.
Precisely. Very interactive.
Okay, and finally, how does EON HealthView 360 enhance a medical professional's ability to perform? What does that look like in practice?
Well, the ultimate goal here is to empower them to deliver the best possible patient care. It does this by intelligently combining their own hard-earned clinical judgment.
Which is irreplaceable.
Absolutely. Combining that judgment with data-driven insights generated by the AI and the platform, it's about providing support for making more informed clinical decisions, optimizing workflow efficiency.
Making things run smoother.
Yeah, and ultimately enabling healthcare professionals to operate at their, highest potential.
Okay, so this whole interconnected system hinges on their vibe coder technology you mentioned.
Yes.
Can you give us a clearer picture of how that technology is specifically applied within healthcare? What does vibe coder do?
Right. Vibe coder really acts as the central processing hub, the engine. In the healthcare setting, it enables the seamless integration of a really wide array of data types.
Oh, such as?
Imagine pulling together lab results, medical images like X-rays or MRIs, genetic information, electronic health records, all into a single unified knowledge framework.
Which is a big deal because historically these would often exist in separate siloed systems, right?
Exactly. That's a huge hurdle currently.
Mm-hmm.
So VibeCoder helps break down those information silos.
Okay.
And it goes beyond just bringing the data together. VibeCoder also facilitates the intuitive visualization of the often complex relationships between these different medical parameters.
Making sense of the complexity.
Yes. It helps provide a holistic contextual understanding of each piece of data within the broader picture of a patient's health. Plus, it's designed to efficiently handle and process very large volumes of medical data in real time.
Real time is impressive.
It is. Think of it like a powerful analysis engine that can sift through vast amounts of information and present the key insights in an understandable visual way.
That sounds incredibly useful. The announcement also highlights that EON Reality is collaborating closely with physicians and healthcare institutions in developing this.
Okay.
Why is that collaborative aspect so crucial here?
Oh, that collaboration is absolutely vital. You simply can't build an effective medical tool in a vacuum.
Right.
Medical knowledge is highly specialized, it's constantly evolving, and clinical practice has its own unique workflows and challenges. So these partnerships are essential to ensure the platform is truly addressing the real-world problems that healthcare professionals face every day.
So it's about making sure it actually works in practice?
Exactly. It helps guarantee that the platform integrates smoothly into existing clinical workflows, that it incorporates the invaluable expertise of medical professionals, and most importantly, that it meets the incredibly high standards needed for clinical accuracy and relevance.
Building trust?
Precisely. Building a tool that is genuinely useful and critically trusted by the medical community.
That makes perfect sense. So let's trace the journey. How does EON HealthView 360 take all this raw, disparate data and transform it into something actionable, into insights? What does that process actually look like step by step?
It's a multi-layered process, as you'd expect. It begins with comprehensive data ingestion.
Step 1, get the data in.
Right. The platform securely captures and standardizes data from all those various sources we've talked about, labs, imaging, EHRs, genetics, etc.
Standardizing must be key.
It is, to make comparisons possible. Next, an AI-powered correlation engine analyzes this data. It's looking for patterns, relationships, connections, even subtle ones that might not be immediately obvious to a keen observer just looking at isolated reports.
Okay, finding hidden connections.
Potentially, yes. But importantly, these identified patterns then undergo evidence-based validation.
Ah, checking the work.
Exactly.
Oh.
It means the patterns are checked against the current body of established medical literature to ensure they are well supported by scientific findings and clinical evidence. It's not just finding correlations, it's finding meaningful correlations.
Okay, so it's not just about finding connections, it's verifying those connections against established knowledge. That sounds critical. What happens after that validation stage?
Following validation, the information is presented through intuitive visualization. Remember we talked about that?
Yes, making it understandable.
Right. Complex data is transformed into clear, interactive dashboards. These allow physicians to quickly grasp the key findings, but also to delve into the details if they need to.
Drill down capability.
Exactly. The platform also generates personalized recommendations. These are tailored to the individual patient's profile, considering their specific data and relevant clinical guidelines.
Personalized medicine in action.
Very much so. And finally, the system includes continuous knowledge updates. It's designed to automatically incorporate the very latest research and any changes in medical best practices, keeping the underlying knowledge base current.
Always learning.
Always learning, yes.
So how do these capabilities, this whole process, translate into concrete advantages over, let's say, current standard practices in healthcare? What are the key benefits compared to how things are often done now?
Well, the potential advantages are quite significant when you compare them. For instance, instead of a clinician having to manually review, say, 10 different isolated test results.
Flipping between screens or reports.
Exactly. EON HealthView 360 can automatically analyze and correlate findings across all available data for a much more holistic view.
Saves time, reduces chance of missing something.
Precisely.
Right.
And instead of relying on, personal recall of the latest studies, which is increasingly difficult.
Impossible, really.
Pretty much. The platform provides continuous, integrated knowledge updates right within the workflow. That often time-consuming process of just gathering the relevant data, it's streamlined into a single, unified dashboard.
Efficiency gains.
Big time. Where subtle patterns might be missed through manual review, the AI's pattern recognition capabilities can potentially identify non-obvious but crucial correlations.
Seeing the unseen.
In a way, yes. It also paves the way for a shift from more generalized treatment approaches towards truly personalized medicine by considering individual factors like a patient's genetic makeup, which is becoming more and more important. It facilitates faster adoption of new research findings into actual clinical practice rather than the usual lag time. And it offers evidence-linked recommendations, reducing the need for those extensive, time-consuming manual literature search.
So, better information, faster integration, more personalized care.
That's the promise, yes.
Can you give us a couple of quick examples just to illustrate how this might work in, real-world clinical scenarios? Make it a bit more concrete.
Certainly. Let's imagine a physician examining a patient who presents with maybe a constellation of somewhat unusual symptoms. It's not immediately clear what's going on.
A complex case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
EON HealthView 360 could potentially analyze their complete medical history, lab results, imaging scans, maybe even genetic information if available. It could then identify relevant patterns across all that data, cross-reference those patterns with the most recent medical literature.
Okay.
Visualize the potential relationships between symptoms and data points, and perhaps even suggest possible diagnostic pathways, complete with direct links to the supporting research papers.
Wow. So it's like having an incredibly knowledgeable research assistant right there.
That's one way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's powerful support for enhanced learning and diagnosis right in the moment.
That really clarifies the potential. What's another practical application? Maybe for training.
Okay, consider a medical resident, someone still in training. They could use the platform to review complex and challenging cases from curated library.
Safe environment to learn.
Absolutely. They could observe the subtle correlations, say, between different lab values and imaging findings. They could even interactively adjust certain parameters to understand their impact, helping them develop that intuition for recognizing critical indicators.
Like a flight simulator for diagnostics.
That's not a bad analogy, actually. They could compare a given case to a database of similar anonymized cases, seeing different presentations or outcomes. It could really accelerate the development of their clinical judgment and diagnostic reasoning skills.
Or thinking about perform, maybe an endocrinologist managing complex diabetes cases.
Good example. They could use the platform to analyze interactions between various medications, blood sugar levels, diet, genetics. Maybe get alerts about potential medication issues based on the patient's specific genetic profile.
Proactive alerts.
Yes. See longitudinal views of biomarkers over time easily. Get evidence-based suggestions for monitoring intervals. It really enhances their ability to make fine-tuned decisions for complex chronic care.
Those examples are really helpful in understanding the practical implications. So, looking towards the future, what are some of the potential directions for EON HealthView 360? Where might this go next?
Well, EON Reality has stated their ongoing commitment to expanding access to medical knowledge, that knowledge is a human right idea.
Great.
So future development will likely focus on enhancing the platform's educational resources, maybe more modules for medical professionals at all stages of their careers.
Lifelong learning.
Exactly. Creating even more sophisticated and realistic training simulations like we discussed. Developing more robust metrics to actually quantify the platform's impact on patient outcomes and efficiency. That's important too.
Measuring the value.
Definitely. And potentially extending its capabilities to directly support patient education and engagement, helping patients understand their own health data better.
Empowering patients too.
That seems like a logical next step.
So it really does sound like EON HealthView 360 has the potential to be, a significant step forward in how healthcare professionals access and utilize this ever-growing body of medical knowledge to make informed decisions.
I think the potential is certainly there.
It kind of circles back to our initial point about technology enabling us to gain crucial insights more quickly, more thoroughly.
It does indeed. And it makes you consider the profound ways in which a platform like this could potentially revolutionize the efficiency and effectiveness of healthcare professionals.
And ultimately
leading to improved outcomes for patients, which is the real goal.
This deep dive has provided a really valuable foundational understanding, I think. And for those of you listening who want to explore this further, we understand that EON Reality has made a white paper available.
That's right. It apparently delves into even greater detail about the platform, the vibe coder technology, the validation processes.
Okay.
So it's an excellent resource for anyone who wants a more comprehensive, in-depth technical understanding of EON HealthView 360's capabilities.
Good to know. So as we conclude this deep dive, here's maybe a thought to leave everyone with. In an increasingly data-rich world, a world drowning in data sometimes, how will platforms like EON HealthView 360 fundamentally reshape not only our understanding of health, but also the very practice of medicine itself?
That's the big question, isn't it? Something to ponder.